Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the Tuolumne County Board of Supervisors special agenda meeting with one subject matter only. As such, we will not have our standard oral communications as we do when we have multiple items on an agenda. And I've asked Supervisor Campbell to do the pledge. I guess we're starting all the way through here. You had a little practice run there. Okay. All right. So I'll look to CEO Riggs to. Oh, I'm sorry. First of all, if the clerk could please read our item. It's on the special agenda. It's titled 3 p.m. appointment.
3 p.m. appointment, consideration of adopting Resolution 9324 pursuant to Section 22050 of the Public Contract Code and Section 3.22.060 of the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code, finding there's a need to take emergency actions to replace the failing generator and repair the necessary electrical at the Sheriff Administration and 911 Dispatch Building located at 28 Lower Sunset Drive, and delegating authority to the county administrator to order any necessary action to make necessary procurement of equipment and repairs without giving notice for bid to let contracts. 4/5 vote required.
Okay, thank you. And as stated here, just as a brief intro, this is not something that the county would normally want to do as far as going down this road of bypassing, some of these standard procedures, but due to the seriousness of the nature and in the interest of public safety and not wanting to see anybody miss the 911 call, which has already been occurring, is why we're here today to try to move this forward. So, CEO Riggs, if you could please give us an intro here.
Thank you. So this item before you today is in response to the failed system that we had of our 911 dispatch on October 11th. You may remember the sheriff got up and addressed the board and talked about the issues that he's been experiencing and his and our concern with the ability to not provide consistent 911 dispatch in our county. As a result, we had a meeting and we circled the wagons to try and determine what it is we need to do. And in front of you, I have given you a copy of what the current circuit panel looks like for our dispatch. This is after the fix that we had done. We spent $36,000 to have two circuit breakers fixed. We thought that the repairs had been made and that everything would be working, and of course it went down again. What I'm here to ask you to do today is I'm asking that you would allow us to bypass the make the finding for an emergency to bypass public procurement policies and procedures for the electrical portion of determining what do we need to do to ensure continuity for our 911 dispatch. We do have a secondary generator that we brought in because we have two issues. The electrical is failing. In addition to that, the generator that is over 20 years old is also failing. We did bring in, when I say we, our facilities group brought in a secondary generator, and IT did install the commercial level the battery backups. That only gives them about, I believe, an hour to an hour and a half of backup. Should it go down again, not sufficient, but it's something that has been in place while we continue working the problem. Without the electricity being secure and sustainable, we could have 5 generators down there and it will not matter. So the first thing is bringing in an electrical engineer who can get in there, look at this circuit panel, determine the necessary work that needs to be done, and then putting together the plan of how to fix that. The second to this would be, of course, if it is determined that the amount of work that needs to be done is so severe and costly, we may need to pivot and look at our EOC as a location for the next step. But right now we need to know, is there something we can do to keep them sustainable where they are? And that was what we will do. Mo has already reached out to someone. They are cutting short their current where they're at right now to be here on Monday, should your board approve this. So they will be here and start mapping that out for us. But In the meantime, we are absolutely concerned about the ability to provide 911 dispatch in our county. The sheriff is also backup for the city, so that causes another issue that compounds it. So today, if your board would allow us to do that, we would get someone in here on Monday. We'll begin that process. And of course, any other part of the public procurement process for public projects, we will follow absolutely as we always do. But we feel that this is such a dire need and an emergent situation that we're asking that your board would make this finding.
Okay, and just a little housekeeping here. The obviously the board has received these 2 pages with photos. Have they also been made available?
They
for
are in the
public
back to
here?
the public, yes.
Okay, very good. And so they'll become a matter of the part of the record for
We will,
today's
yes.
meeting.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm looking to the board. If you have any questions at this point, this is an area that obviously we've been discussing, on and off, back and forth. But Supervisor Kirk, please go ahead.
Thank you. I wasn't going to have any, but just hearing about the contractor coming out Monday, how long, does he have an estimate how long until we get an answer from him? Like, are we talking months, weeks, days?
I would, we won't know until he walks in and sees what he's faced with. But
But
he'll
he's
have
here to,
some-
he's here to work on it Monday and see it through and get us an answer.
Correct. That's my
Okay.
understanding.
Any additional questions from board members? Okay, I don't have any. I'll look for public comment. Good afternoon, sir.
So I'm Louis Schmuller from Upper Crystal Falls. Boy, that was short.
that was a quick timeout, huh?
That was quick. I sent an email to the board yesterday. Back
Hold
in
on 1
November-
sec. We're just resetting the clock. Give us just a second here to reset the timer. Okay, sorry about that.
So I'm Louis Schmuller from Upper Crystal Falls. Yesterday I sent an email, partly describes the system I had put in at my home. I've been having a lot of electrical troubles. For $22,000, I got a 13.6 kilowatt hour battery installed. And they rewired much of my electrical panel so that now almost all of my circuits are now battery backed up, except for the AC. I think you should look into a similar system. One thing I did do on that system is I also got a module that allows a generator hookup, and I got a 7,500 watt generator for just $800 from Costco. And that is the largest one Costco could offer, but you could get larger ones for, at most another $1,000 or so. So that if it's out for more than a day, I can just roll over the generator and recharge the batteries in 2 hours. It also saves me an immense amount of propane. I used to work in the Bay Area and live up here. And when I'd be in the Bay Area, they'd have an outage and I'd come back and my tank was almost empty. And it's because my house wasn't using any power, but the generator was basically running 24/7. And if the generator is running almost idle, it uses almost as much fuel as it uses under full load. So with the Franklin whole home battery system I have, at most 2 hours a day, I run the generator. And that's just if I have a very extended outage. You can hook up actually up to 4 of the batteries. And I think your main concerns would be, is it health and safety certified? I'm not sure. But if you're running 911, you might have to have an expensive health and safety certified system. And you also should probably think you're not going to run the AC, the air conditioning on it. It does have solar inputs though, and on hot days, solar production is usually pretty good. So in some ways you could run it that way. Okay, so please consider that. I use Sig Solar in Oakdale, and I was under contract in less than a week. So I talked with them, got some preliminary stuff. Within a week, they did the site survey, wrote up a contract, and then about 2 weeks later, it was installed. All done. Okay, thank you.
So thank you for your comments, and I'll just make a brief follow-up here. Is that actually I use Sig Solar myself for they installed solar at my own home. However, when we're talking about the 911 dispatch center, there's a lot of energy being used in those facilities, and you made a comment regarding air conditioning. That's a critical thing that we have to have, and the ability to support that, because literally the electronics in the back room that supports all the dispatch consoles can literally melt down in the process. No, I'm sorry, sir. I'm just giving you a comment just to explain a little bit about the situation that the county's in. Any additional public comment? Good afternoon, Sheriff.
Good afternoon, Board. Dave Vasquez, Sheriff of Tuolumne County. I'll make this as quick as possible. Thank you so much for all of you coming in and prioritizing this the way that you did. I know it's probably a day off and this is unplanned. I flew in last night from out of town as well to be here because it is very important. I just want to take this opportunity to quickly attest to everything that the county administrator had just said regarding the level of emergency that exists. From the 2023 to 2024, currently we've experienced several outages that are absolutely a risk to human life and how we protect Tuolumne County. And I have plenty of data to support that should it ever be necessary at the appropriate time. I am especially appreciative of all of the staff that have put the time, effort, and energy into getting us to where we're at today for this emergency. And I just want to make sure that that's extremely clear. The level of gratitude, all the energy that's gone into it. I'm especially grateful for the remarks of that we have a plan moving forward and we have some absolution that we can provide to the community that should that fall short or not meet the expectations that we have, that there is a pivot to go to an alternate location as well. So thank you so much for the effort and time. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Supervisor Goldenberg, if I
Yes.
could just say one more thing, and I should have said it earlier, was if you look at this panel, you can clearly see, and those many people don't know, this caught on fire. That was one of the outages that we had. And so it is of that level of need that we address this, because not only did the system go down, but it also puts our staff at risk. So I should have mentioned that is critical. And if those who'd seen this picture, you can clearly see that it is a bit charred, and that's because it did catch on fire previously.
When
And
was
thanks.
this on fire?
What's that?
How old is this?
Is it?
Back.
Well, this is those two circuit breakers were replaced in 2023. Is this the original breaker box is what I think they're asking. They're thinking it's the original. So the building's 70 some odd years old.
This is
So
caught on fire twice.
it's caught on fire once that I know of for sure. Yeah. And some arcing is what Steve is
I guess
saying.
how long is the arcing?
It has not done it since. It has not caught on fire since, but it has not been reliable, and we have continued to have issues. So that's why we want to address that issue, because that just replaced those. It didn't replace the entire circuit panel or any of the wiring.
I'm asking because I don't know the timeline of everything. I've been hearing about this for a while, and we got to button this up. So
Agreed.
thanks for being here, and I hope we can.
I just want to
Turn the page.
emphasize, the reason why we're emphasizing these facts are if a generator would bridge us through and give us the ability and time to bid these contracts, that may not justify the emergency. But in this instance, even the standby generator is a risk with the current
Yeah, with the
wiring.
current
So,
wiring, yeah.
so that fact and that this was learned at the specific event, we needed an event for an emergency. We had an outage on October 11th where this was realized that these fixes and the backup is not sufficient.
And are we going after the contractor who put this in, who obviously didn't do a good job? Okay. Sorry. It's just this. Yeah, it shouldn't have happened. So we got to get it fixed.
Well,
Sorry, that's my comments. I'm ready to make a motion.
Yeah, but and just to clarify, part of what we're dealing with here is that we've got very old equipment, and it was not upgraded to new modern day panels. Within the center, so they're even just getting a hold of some of the old fuses has been problematic, and it just we can do better. We need to do better to make sure that we have the center available to serve the public. So, Supervisor Campbell, did you have something?
Yeah, I agree with what's been said, and this picture is really telling. I hope people are able to look at that. This is a panel. I know a little bit about having done several jobs where I've crawled through old houses. I don't even know where you would find these kind of switches anymore. They don't exist in modern equipment, and the fact that it looks like it's a post emergency fire picture from a building that's burned down, but this is actually a link in the chain of that connects you to emergency services. This is one of the links in the chain. If that doesn't justify an emergency action, I don't know what does. So I hope people see that and they understand why the need for the urgency.
Very good. Thank you. Supervisor Hath.
Yeah, and because the board found out about this on October 15th, which was our last board meeting, and it's become known to us that this has actually come to a crisis, an emergency situation, thinking that we had it fixed prior, I would like to recommend approval of the resolution.
Okay, so I did hear Supervisor Kirk start to make a motion.
It's all good. Let's make the motion and get out of here and get this thing on.
If
Sean.
if we could, if somebody has a copy of the memo and the recommendation,
You need
because
to
we
read
need
it?
to have our minutes reflect
Okay,
the findings, that tracks what we need.
okay, so I'll read the recommendation. I recommend approval of a resolution pursuant to section 22050 of the Public Contract Code and section 3.22.060 of the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code, finding that there is a need to take emergency actions to replace the failing generator and repair necessary electrical at the Sheriff Administration and 911 Dispatch Building located at 28 Lower Sunset Drive, and delegating authority to the county administrator to order any necessary actions to make the necessary procurement of equipment and repairs without giving notice for bid to let contracts.
I'm glad you made that motion. I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Supervisor Hath, second by Supervisor Kirk. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, motion carries 4-0, and yeah, let's get to work and figure out what we need to do to move forward with this. In any with that said, I think we've completed our meeting, so we'll adjourn the meeting at this time. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending. Thank you again, board members, for coming in. Much appreciated.